Good morning. Welcome to the Kingsport News Hour, 16th year of Changi, the 8th month and the first day by the heavenly calendar. Tim Hill was sitting in for the second king of Changi County Moon. And uh, let's look at this video first because I don't know how long it's going to be up. So if you look in the if you're watching on Rumble, you can look in the description section there. And if you're watching on Twitch, I'm afraid I wasn't able to get it on Twitch. Maybe I still can. Can I still do that? Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, okay. All right. Maybe on Twitch as well now. I just put it in, I think. Anyway, this is if you click on it, this is a live video of Hak Ja Han leaving the district court for the Central District of Seoul. And the reason she was there was because the court today was reviewing the prosecution's request for a detention warrant. The Western press is calling it an arrest warrant. Okay, we'll go ahead and call it arrest, even though there is a difference in Korea. So she was in court for about 5 hours. And then at the end of the court session, she's coming out of right now, if you're watching, she's coming out of the court on a wheelchair. The lady in light blue there on her right is a reporter trying to get a story. She has some sort of recording device in her hand, and she's trying to see if she can ask a question that will elicit a response from Hak Ja Han. The three young ladies who are helping her into the van, I'm pretty certain, are not Family Federation staff. I believe that they are the court staff or police staff or anyway, government staff. And you see that you're going to have one sitting on each side of her there, and she's going to be sitting in the middle. And then the door closes, and then you have this chunky man sitting in the passenger seat. I'm sure he's also a court or police staff, and then driving off now with the blinker lights there flashing. And you got a guy on the right. At first, I thought he was waving, but no, he's not waving. He's signaling and all clear. I think that she's gone now and everything's okay, and we got her off all right. So, so at this hour, Hak Ja Han is sitting in the Seoul Detention Center, otherwise known as the Seoul Prison, and she's waiting for the court to make a decision on whether or not to issue the warrant for her detention, or what the West is calling the arrest warrant. And we don't know when that's going to be. It could be soon or it could be much later. I saw one article saying that the court may have to work late into the night, possibly past midnight. Meanwhile, of course, Wonju McDevitt also had her arrest warrant hearing today. I'm just going to go ahead and say arrest. Had her arrest warrant hearing today, and so she is in a similar situation. I doubt that they are seeing each other at the detention center. They're probably in different cells or different. I don't know what the situation is there. and the court will decide sometime. The media here is speculating sometime late this evening, or right now it's just after 8 p.m. there in Korea. And so far, we don't yet have a news that the court has issued. Or so, if the court decides no, we're not going to issue the warrant, then they will let her go and she will go home or wherever else she wants to go. Within Korea, she's still not allowed to leave the country. And the investigation of her alleged crimes will continue, but in a situation where she's not in detention. And then at some point, presumably, there will be an indictment. I cannot imagine at this point that there will not be an indictment. And then after that, there will be a trial. So if the warrant is issued, then she will remain where she is tonight, this evening, and she will, I guess, I don't know, uh, change into prison clothes, I suppose. I don't know. And she will remain there while the investigation continues, and then potentially she could remain there until the trial, which could be quite a long time, months. We're talking, yeah, we're talking months, I think. And same situation with Wonju. She's also her Hak Ja Han's hearing started at 1:30 and went for about 5 hours. Wonju started at 3 o'clock, and if that goes 5 hours, it'll be ending right about now. So Wonju may not be at the detention center there yet, but I don't know how long these things go. In the case of Hak Ja Han, um, the prosecution really, I would even describe it as kind of being maybe an overkill. Uh, they have a team of 8 prosecutors working on her prosecution, and they were all present at the court today. And they prepared an opinion, a document for the court, their opinion of why she should be detained, that was 420 pages long. And just in case that wasn't enough, they prepared a PowerPoint presentation that contained 220 slides. So the prosecution looks like is uh, not leaving anything to chance. Now, on the defense side, on the Hak Ja Han side, uh, they're saying that, well, she's 83 years old, she has a heart condition, and she did, after all, come on her own uh, to the special counsel or to the special prosecutor to be interrogated. But the prosecution says, wait a second, no, she uh, she ignored or she failed to comply with 3 separate subpoenas. And then she only came on her own, as she says, she only came on her own hours after one of her co-defendants was arrested. A warrant of arrest or a warrant of detention was issued against him. That's when she actually came on her own. So we can. So she has a pattern of being uncooperative with the investigation, not appearing when she's supposed to, and so we need her to be detained so that we'll have access to her anytime we need. That's the prosecution's view on that. So we'll see. I don't know. And frankly, I think the probability of her being detained is high. But I was just talking to someone here, and they said that they saw a couple of YouTube videos that said, well, maybe not so fast, not so fast. Maybe, maybe the court will go light on her. But but my sort of impression right now is that this is not just about her or her alleged crimes. There seems to be a force or forces that have been waiting to destroy the Unification Church. And those force or forces seem to feel that their time has come and that we're going to get this woman and we're going to destroy the church no matter what. In fact, some people, and I don't know if this is exaggeration or hyperbole, but these days you don't know, speculating that the next step may be for the government to go after the um, religious corporation registration of the family federation, like the government in Japan has done, and perhaps also go after the political party that she was supporting, the conservative party that she was supporting, and potentially disband that political party and go after perhaps other sort of other people as well, sort of Christians who were supporting President Yoon in the previous election, and also um, supported him while he was in office. So we'll see. Right now, we have a very leftist president in the executive office, and we shall see. We shall see. As I've said often, revenge politics is deeply rooted in Korea on both sides, and they go after each other pretty heavily every time there's a change in parties. Um, and in addition to that, right now we see that the left is making a major move to try and uh, well, I don't know what they're doing. Well, we kind of have to watch and see what exactly how far they intend to go. Right? Kim Jong Un made a statement on Sunday at his Supreme People's Assembly, their rubber stamp uh, legislative body, saying that North and South Korea are two separate countries, and he went on and on about how this has been the case, this has been the reality for many, many years. We're just now recognizing that fact. And he even went back to 1948 when separate governments were formed in Pyongyang and in Seoul. And ever since then, he says that the two have been separated, and there's no sense in pretending that there's going to be unification anytime soon. And the Western press is picking up the fact that he said, "Well, I'll be happy to talk with President Trump if he gives up the idea of denuclearization." Okay, so that's the U.S. Headline there. But for the Korean Peninsula, he's saying that South Korea still in its constitution claims that all of the Korean Peninsula is the territory of the Republic of Korea, the official name of South Korea. And so he says that still, until they change that wording in the Constitution, there's really no possibility for dialogue towards unity or any possible dialogue. In fact, South Korea is an enemy country as far as North Korea is concerned. So this current president may be intending to do exactly that, to to change the constitution in that way, to satisfy Kim Jong Un's position. Father, of course, often warned that at some point in the future there would be a peninsula-wide election for president, and Father would often say that the North will put up one candidate, South will put up several candidates, they split the vote, and the Northern candidate will win. That may be still on the books for Kim Jong Un and his people. We don't know what they're thinking right now. But we'll see. The arrest or detention of a Hak Ja Han may be only the first step in a very severe judgment that is coming down on Korea. We will have to wait and see what the next step will be. Um, okay, so that is that. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. You can continue watching that video. They're just playing the same video over and over and over again of Hak Ja Han coming out of the court in a wheelchair, and then the reporter in light blue, sky blue, sticking a recording device in her face, asking her all sorts of questions, and then the three young women dressed in black helping her enter a van, and then the van door closing, a chunky man sitting in the passenger seat, and then closing the door, and they drive off to the Seoul Detention Center, which is actually in the city of Uiwang, Uiwang, which is um, I guess about 20 minutes, maybe from that courthouse, probably more than half an hour, 40 minutes perhaps, depending on traffic. Yeah, depending on traffic, it's probably at least a half hour, maybe an hour, because they were going there in kind of a rush hour or evening rush hour traffic. So by now, though, I'm sure she's arrived there and she's going through whatever processing they do for people who are not yet officially detained or arrested, but who are there at the detention center pending a court decision on their future. All right. All right. So that is, I guess, enough of that for now. And I will try to continue to watch that live video to make sure that I know if and when she is actually, the court actually, but I don't think they're going to make a decision within the next hour. It's very unlikely. I think it's going to be late, perhaps even past midnight, which is, let's see, that's about what, about 3 hours and 45 minutes from now. That would be midnight, and I think probably past midnight is when they make the decision. Because they got a lot of material to go through. 420-page document opinion, 220 pages of a PowerPoint, and that's just from the prosecution side. Okay. All right, let's take a look at around the kingdom and see what is going on right now in Chongpyeong, Tennessee, 63 degrees in fog. And a special weather statement is out because of the fog right now, or today, a high of 81, areas of morning fog, otherwise intervals of clouds and sunshine with a thunderstorm this afternoon. Tonight, mainly cloudy and 64. Father's hometown in Jeongju, North Pyongan province of Korea, mostly cloudy and 62. And tonight getting down to 54. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and high of 74. At the Tony Moon Palace in Northeast Pennsylvania, 52 degrees and mostly cloudy right now, 76 for a high, partly sunny and comfortable. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 56. At the Liberty Rock RV Park and Campground in Limestone County, Texas, currently 73, mostly cloudy. Mostly sunny today, but very warm and humid, a high of 96. They're still in the summertime there. Tonight, clear and humid, low of 74. At the Suncheon Palace in Korea, it is currently 72 and mostly cloudy. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 61. Mainly sunny tomorrow, high 82. Gunma Palace is in Japan, 71 right now. Cloudy this evening, then partly cloudy late, low of 59 tonight. Tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, then clouds and sun in the afternoon, high of only 76. Wow, they're going to have nice weather there tomorrow. And then in Ilan, Taiwan, currently 83, and a shower, which will end in 16 minutes, it says. And we have a typhoon passing by. The actual typhoon is passing through the strait between Taiwan and Philippines, but we're in the sort of the outer edges of of the of the rain clouds here. Um, so windy and humid with rain and a thunderstorm tonight. Low of 78 tonight. Tomorrow, very windy, cloudy, and humid with rain and a thunderstorm in the morning. Then afternoon thunderstorms, high of 80. Whoa, high of 80. Let me ponder that for a while. Yes, that is very, very nice. High of 80. Yes, praise God for the typhoon. Thank you very much. 80. Oh man, that is nice. Okay. All right, and let's see. And I see that yeah, they're still playing that same video. Okay. All right. All right. So let's see what is going on. Of course, yesterday we had the memorial service for Charlie Kirk, and see a whole bunch of headlines of Breitbart regarding that. Let's take a look at that. I'm sure many of you watched it already online. President Trump was there, and I believe the vice president was there as well. And the Arizona Stadium, Elon Musk in his tweet said that all the seats that were not blocked off for security reasons were filled. Um, And so it was a very well attended okay, crowd. And let's see if I can refresh this. Okay, well, I guess, well, they're saying expected to attend. Anyway, okay. So Trump says Charlie Kirk lives forever in pantheon of America's greatest patriots. I'm sure he will. I'm sure that this young man, many of the founding fathers were, or some of the founding fathers anyway, were in their 30s, and I think Charlie Kirk will be remembered as a one of the second founding fathers. And Erica Kirk, his widow, says U.S. is seeing a revival to God. Praise God. And Vice President Vance, I have talked more about Jesus Christ in the past 2 weeks than in my entire time in public life. And then Don Jr., relationship with Jesus was the most important thing to Charlie. Um, and Tulsi Gabbard, everyone needs to be a warrior like Charlie. And Stephen Miller, forces of evil made Charlie Kirk immortal. And Rubio, the Secretary of State, Charlie Kirk had uncanny amount of wisdom. Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk was doing the thing that most people in charge hate most, calling for them to repent. Susie Wiles, the president's chief of staff, Charlie's army of young voters helped secure President Trump's 2024 victory. And RFK Jr., Charlie gave the biggest microphone to his opponents. And Erica Kirk now wears Charlie's blood-stained St. Michael the Archangel pendant here in the main column here. Okay. You have no idea, Miller, Steve Miller. You have no idea the dragon you awakened. I'm a little bit worried about this Miller guy. Um, he's Trump's, I think, advisor for domestic affairs, I think, but he's a bit extreme, I think. So I'm a bit worried that I think the Georgia debacle, for example, it might have been his product. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah. Trump, Vance, Erica, Rubio, Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, RFK Jr., others speak. And President Trump said Charlie Kirk was a builder of men. Okay. Praise God, praise God for this young man. He died. We have more headlines here. Let's get to this one in just a minute. But he died the way he lived, speaking the truth. Pete Hegseth remembers Charlie Kirk's legacy. And okay, I think that's probably about it on Charlie Kirk. Okay. Then this is also important news that President Trump today is going to have a press conference on autism. And come on, there we go again. What does Breitbart have against me? Okay, we'll go back to Canada. Go over the border, seek refuge there. Okay, and refresh. Voila. Okay, great. I don't know what Breitbart has against VPN locations in the United States, but no problem in Canada, apparently. Anyway, okay. Trump to host major press conference Monday on autism, and I guess Tylenol is on the chopping block, right? Uh, I think we found an answer, he says. Trump hinted on Monday's press conference, which will feature Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Mehmet Oz. While speaking at Turning Point USA, founder Charlie Kirk Tribute Service in Glendale, Arizona. Okay. We're going to have one of the biggest announcements, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. Thank you. Thank you. Polio might have been pretty big too, Mr. President. I don't know, but we're we're going to be doing it with Bobby and Oz and all the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. Well, I think, and he thinks. So the operative word is think, and uh, it'll be interesting to see how the clinical trials work out. We're going to be talking in the Oval Office in the White House about autism, how it happens, so we won't let it happen anymore, and how to get at least somewhat better when you have it, so that parents can help their children, their beautiful child. He said, added, that's a big one. Trump said he has made it a priority of his administration to get an answer to autism and noted the substantial increase in autism rates in recent decades. I think it's going to be one of the most important news conferences I'll ever have, and I look forward to it. So he doesn't mention Tylenol, but that's what I've been hearing. Tylenol during early pregnancy apparently is the what they're looking at. Um, it's interesting. Yeah, I think based on my own experience, well, at least on my experience anyway, with my beautiful wife, um, when she was pregnant with our first child, she, would absolutely not take any kind of medication at all. And at some point, she got it in her mind that she had taken an aspirin during the early weeks of her pregnancy before she even knew she was pregnant. And then when I had to sit her down, not just once, but two or three times, we had to sit down and go through the dates and figure it out. And no, it turned out that she had had that one aspirin prior to pregnancy, and that finally reassured her. But I'm afraid that right now, if someone is about to take Tylenol and they're in the early stage of the pregnancy, they may say, "Oh, wait, 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 wait." So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I encourage you to watch the news conference later today. Today, Monday, it's going to happen. Monday, and I encourage you to make your own decision. Okay, make your own decision. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice at all. That's for sure. Uh, but also um, for the fathers out there or the prospective fathers out there, just be aware that um, it seems that when women become pregnant, especially with their first child, they're I don't want anything to go wrong. I don't want anything to go wrong. So they're a bit uh, anxious. Anxious. There's a lot of anxiety going on. So we have to understand that and help them through that process. Okay. All right. So, and by the way, all three of our children got through without any autism effects. Let's see here. So I don't know. We'll see. He's getting people's hopes up a bit, or maybe their anxiety up a bit. I'm not sure which. So I hope he comes through on that during the news conference. It should be happening, I guess, very shortly now. I'm not sure of the timetable there. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Also on Breitbart, I should keep watching that. They're not going to come to a decision the next half hour, I think. They're not going to come to a decision. Also here, there is this thing about the Palestinian situation, right? Um, the UK and Australia and which other one was it? France, is it? Have decided uh, to recognize Canada. I'm sorry, Canada, Australia, and UK have decided to recognize a Palestinian state, and the U.S. of course is not. And here, also in the UK, the opposition Conservative Party leader blasted Prime Minister Keir Starmer's recognition of a Palestinian state as absolutely disastrous, charging it hands Hamas terrorists a victory while leaving Israeli hostages languishing in Gaza. I think there's a good point there. I think this is a historic event for the Hamas people who now know, not just think, but now know that terrorism pays. This is what they won as a result of their terrorism action. Britain on Sunday joined Canada and Australia in extending recognition despite Hamas still ruling Gaza, holding hostages, and boasting of the October 7th, 2023 now, right? Massacre. The move announced on the eve of Rosh Hashanah was denounced as nothing less than a political prize for jihadists. Disastrous, absolutely disastrous. We will all rue the day this decision was made, the conservative leader declared on X on Sunday, posting Starmer's remarks. Rewarding terrorism with no conditions whatsoever put in place for Hamas. It leaves hostages languishing in Gaza and does nothing to stop suffering of innocent people caught in this war. Starmer had previously claimed recognition would be conditional, that Hamas must disarm. Come on. I mean, you know, yeah. So let me get this straight. Hamas is going to say, "Oh, okay, okay, we'll disarm, release the hostages, and relinquish control of Gaza." None of these conditions were met, yet he pressed ahead anyway. Yes. uh, why do people do this? Why do politicians, but not just politicians? And it's the same thing with the gun control controversy, right? This idea that uh, bad people are going to give up their weapons. Without their weapons, what are they? Right? They're nothing without their weapons. North Korea, what is North Korea without its nuclear weapons? North Korea without nuclear weapons is just, I don't know, one of the smallest countries in the world and one of the least important countries in the world. It's the nuclear weapons that give them importance on the world stage. Hamas, their weapons, that's what keeps them in power. And you want them to give up power? You want them to give up power? So what are you going to do instead? Oh, I know. Oh, okay, I see. You're going to send them all to OSTP lectures. That's what you're going to do, right? You might as well because I mean, come on. If you're going to make them give up power um, and relinquish control of Gaza, you have to laugh because it's just it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Just like the gun control people think that, all you have to have is a law, all right? All you have to have is a law that no one is allowed to have guns, and everybody, including the bad people, will give up their guns, right? Especially the bad people. It's just absolutely ludicrous, and you have to laugh. And it's just they're living in another world. And, uh, so, for example, Lee Jae-myung was in Washington recently, and he talked with President Trump about the denuclearization of North Korea. Well, come on, this guy knows better. What is it? What is it? I guess he's paying lip service to America's foreign policy, because U.S. foreign policy is still goal is to denuclearize North Korea. So I suppose Lee Jae-myung was doing that, but he knows that North Korea is not going to give up its nuclear weapons. I mean, come on. I mean, unless there's a regime change, unless you have a regime change, and you have a regime that seeks peace, right? And wants to or unite or at least get along with South Korea uh, peacefully, and actually demilitarize the demilitarized zone. This is one of the most highly militarized stretches of land in the world. If you get a regime that's going to actually demilitarize the DMZ, then maybe you can talk about the denuclearization. But I don't know. Uh, After the fall of the Soviet Union, Ukraine, where many Soviet nuclear weapons were positioned, gave up its nuclear weapons, and I think maybe they're regretting that now. So we'll see what North Korea chooses to do. the North Korean people choose to do once they are actually allowed to run their own country and determine their own fate. But yeah, it's crazy what people talk about. It's lip service, really. It's lip service, I suppose. And I don't think anyone actually believes that that uh, that Hamas is going to give up its weapons, or that North Korea is going to give up its nuclear weapons, or that bad people in the United States are going to give up their guns. No one actually believes that. So there's some other agenda here going on. Uh, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But and a lot of it is propaganda too. Giving people hope, false hope, giving people false hope, and manipulating people with that false hope. I think that's what's actually going on here. So we need to be aware of when people are trying to manipulate us in this way. All right. Um, girls high school volleyball teams forfeit games against transgender player. Right. Okay. It's still going on. Still going on. Boy, people still insist on doing these crazy things with gender. The number of girls' high school volleyball teams that have forfeited games rather than play a high school with transgender player has risen to 7 in Riverside, California area. Schools have allied against Jurupa Valley High School after several girls from the school filed a lawsuit against the school, the district, and the state agencies that allowed a boy to join the girls' volleyball team, Fox News reported. Over the last few weeks, 3 more schools have joined the earlier 4 schools to forfeit games against, I guess that's pronounced as Jurupa Valley. The schools that have refused to play against the transgender player now include da 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 da. Okay, and Jurupa Valley was awarded another win by default on September 13th when this difficult to pronounce high school refused to take the court. 3 girls, 2 Catholics, and 1 Muslim filed a lawsuit on September 9th against Jurupa Unified School District, the California Interscholastic Federation, and the California Department of Education, alleging that they were offended and their religious principles defiled when a boy was allowed to use the girls' locker room. 2 of the girls said they left the team over their religious objections and discomfort for having a boy roam around the girls' locker room. Plaintiffs have been intimidated by an intentionally hostile environment created by defendants wherein they were bullied by school officials to censor their objections to compete with and against a male and to sharing intimate and private spaces with a male. Okay, all right, yes. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. I guess eventually the Supreme Court is going to have to rule on this, and we will see what that ruling may be. Okay. Okay. We have some more from President Trump here at the Kirk Memorial. And Hillsdale president promises honorary degree for Charlie Kirk and scholarship for his children. I thought that was a good gesture. I think especially the widow and the children will appreciate that very much. And Hillsdale is actually a good place to go. If you're going to go to college, Hillsdale is a good place. But, okay, there is a but, they don't accept any federal funds. So I think the tuition is a bit expensive, but they have a lot of online stuff. They have online stuff that you can actually watch for free. So if you haven't checked out Hillsdale, uh, I encourage you to do so, no matter what age you may be. Okay. All right. And so here. Okay. All right, let's go to Newsmax and here. Okay, same. And Kamala Harris recently came out with a book where she's, of course, bashing a lot of people. That's what these books seem to do. Okay. And we had a shooting at a New Hampshire restaurant that prevented a worse tragedy. Oh, you know what I missed? I didn't do Father's Words today. That's why time was passing so slowly. I missed a whole section. Patrons at a restaurant acted quickly and selflessly to stop a gunman who opened fire while a wedding was taking place at a New Hampshire country club, averting a worse tragedy. One person was killed and two others were wounded by the gunfire Saturday night before the suspect was taken into custody in a nearby neighborhood not long after the shooting. The gunfire killed Robert Stephen de Cesare, 59, at Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua. The New Hampshire Attorney General John Formella and National Police Chief Kevin Rourke. Now, in this paragraph, it says one person was killed, but it looks like in here, down here, uh, three people were killed. Oh, I see. Said. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. I see. I thought the Attorney General and Police Chief were killed. No, no, no. They said that one person was killed. All right. I got it. All right. So, and this shooting was done by a former employee of the club. And he said, "Free Palestine" during the confusion. Okay. And so forth. Okay. All right. I guess we'll do Father's words at the end. Um, I'm sorry if you were waiting for that. We'll do it at the end. Here, this is increasingly worrisome. Russia seems to be uh, sort of testing NATO in a number of ways. Each time, of course, it's accidental, or they're saying that Lithuania is making it up, or something like that. But what's clear is that Russia is testing NATO and sort of testing how far they can push the envelope, and testing to see how NATO is going to respond. And here, Germany's Air Force says it has scrambled two Eurofighter jets to track a Russian reconnaissance aircraft after it had entered neutral airspace over the Baltic Sea. In a statement, the Air Force said its quick reaction alert force was ordered on Sunday by NATO to investigate an unidentified aircraft flying without a plan or radio contact. It was a Russia IL-20M reconnaissance aircraft. After visual identification, we handed over escort duties for the aircraft to our Swedish NATO partners and returned to Rostock Lag. It added. The operation was conducted as NATO prepares to convene its North Atlantic Council on Tuesday to discuss a separate incident involving Russian jets over Estonia. According to the Reuters news agency, that meeting is to address what Tallinn called, and that's the capital of Estonia, an unprecedented and brazen violation of airspace on Friday, when three Russian MiG-31 fighters entered without permission and remained for 12 minutes before leaving. That's a major thing if that's true. The claim sparked condemnation. So entered its airspace, not just its, I guess it's not just its identification zone, but actual airspace. The claim sparked condemnation from NATO and European governments who called the incursion a reckless and dangerous provocation. Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michael requested urgent NATO Article 4 consultations on the totally unacceptable incursion. Article 4 allows NATO members to hold consultations with the alliance when any state believes its territorial integrity, political independence, or security is under threat. Russia's Ministry of Defense denied the allegation, while Estonia summoned Moscow's charge d'affaires in protest. Tensions have been heightened in recent weeks by a series of airspace violations along NATO's eastern flank. Romania said last week that its radar detected a Russian drone, prompting it to scramble fighter jets. Earlier this month, Poland reported that it had shot down several drones during a Russian aerial attack on Ukraine, marking the first time NATO forces have directly engaged in that conflict. Ukraine has said the incidents show Moscow is testing the West's resolve as the war is in its fourth year. Military analysts note that such incursions serve as intelligence gathering operations, tests of NATO's responses, and pressure tactics designed to unsettle NATO members bordering Russia. So this is similar to what China is doing to Taiwan. And I get the feeling that maybe Putin got this idea from Xi Jinping. So you keep on sort of not attacking, not attacking, not attacking, but you hold your fist up, right? You sort of not actually hitting, but sort of like this, and each time the person goes sort of flinches, flinches and flinches, and you sort of uh, pressuring them into subjugation that way. That seems to be Xi Jinping's strategy right now, uh, and maybe Putin now is deciding that this is a much less expensive way of uh, taking over territory rather than having hundreds of thousands of his soldiers being killed in action. Just sort of doing this all the time, maybe the better way to go. We'll see what happens with that. But at some time, though, you actually, ouch, actually hit my crown there. Hope I didn't damage it. Oh, yeah, self-inflicted wound. All right, I'm okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Ah, oh, Ben Carson's getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom as well. Okay, good. He deserves it. All right. And let's see here. Let's share these with you. Okay. Right. Let's see here. 6 million daily players can't be wrong. Okay. Actually, they can. They can. Trust me. Charlie Kirk desperately wanted Elon Musk and Donald Trump back together, and they actually looks like they had a conversation during the lead up to the event. I wonder if this mentions that. Yeah, it looks like they did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, so maybe they'll get back together. Okay. San Francisco rocked by powerful earthquakes. 4.3. Well, that's not so much. Okay. Yeah. Give me a 7 before I talk about it. China responds to Donald Trump's 1,000K H-1B visa move. I think probably I know what this is going to be about. Yeah, come work with us. Okay. China's asked about the new visa. In the era of globalization, the cross-border flow of talent has driven technological progress and economic development worldwide. China welcomes outstanding talent from all industries and fields globally to come to China, take root in China, and jointly promote the continuous progress of human society while achieving personal career development. Yes, and if you're in China, you can live to be 150 by accepting free donors, free organ donations on demand. On demand. Yes, I think living in China is something that I'm going to pass on at least for now, at least for now, at least for now. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Uh, Fed rate cut would result in crypto skyrocketing, but actually has not happened. Okay, markets never try to predict a market. Schumer pressed by CNN on delay in endorsing Mamdani. All right. It's really so good to have you here. Trump appears bored and uninterested, dozes off. Okay. And drones attack Russian Krasnodar region, leaving blasts and widespread destruction. 12,000-year-old statue unearthed at this place. And I noticed, let's see here, there was a story about the pyramid, a 25,000-year-old pyramid that maybe was not built by human beings. I saw that story here a while ago, but I guess it's gone now. Yeah, I think I'm becoming more and more interested in this idea that there were ancient civilizations that we don't know about. That all their records and stuff were destroyed or something, and just we don't know. And as I mentioned before, we know what we know in the Bible is that between Adam and Noah, things got really, really bad. And the Bible says that this was 10 generations in 1600 years. But that's symbolic. The Father said it's symbolic. So it's not actually 1600 years. It's a symbolic time period. So it could have been hundreds of thousands of years. So during that time, there would be time for a civilization, to rise and become extremely evil and fall, and maybe even another one or two or three rise and become extremely evil and fall. And then finally, what happens then is that God finds one guy, Noah, who is able to be his champion on the earth. Maybe that's what's going on here, but I don't know. Archaeology will have to, and anthropology will have to give us a lot more answers. But, hey, by and by, when the mornings come, and all the saints of earth are gathered home. We'll gather by what does it say? All the saints of earth are gathered home. Then we'll gather, anyway, then we'll know, we'll understand better by and by is is the end of that. Okay. Sorry for not knowing. All right, let's go to Father's Word. Okay, let's go to Father's Word before I run out of time. Okay. So today, here we are in the restoration of the true God's homeland. Okay. All right. So, Father speaking here, 1990, February 15th. So, centering on the papacy and centering on the peninsular civilization, the uh, unified world should have been accomplished. But the papacy was not able to fulfill its responsibility, so civilization moved to the center of civilization, moved to England, or young can be England or Great Britain or UK or whatever. You can pick probably England, I guess. And then when this continues to go round and go round, then it will certainly come back through the island nation of Japan. Japan inherited the civilization of England. Well, that's true to a certain extent. It also got a lot of stuff from Prussia, but yeah, okay. I guess you can say that it inherited a lot from England. So, in other words, in the late 19th century, they were trying to modernize by copying Western countries such as England, and countries that they saw were the most powerful at that time. And so, so the time that Japan flourished the most was from 1868. That 1868, of course, is the Meiji Restoration when Japan opened up to the world. From 1868 to 1988, so that'd be 120 years. 1988 would be the time of the year of the Seoul Olympics. So it's the same as the 120-year period of Saul, David, and Solomon. And during that period, there were three emperors: Meiji, Taisho, and Showa. And then the Showa emperor actually died in January of 1989. Wow, right on schedule. Isn't that right? So it was actually 120 years from the time that the Showa emperor's grandfather and then father and then himself, 120 years. Very interesting. I hadn't thought of that before. Okay. All right, let's check. Let's check. Did I kill that? I guess I did. All right. Let's check. So if you're with me on the live broadcast, click that link in the description, and let's see if this is still going on. Yeah. It's still the court still has not made a decision, and they're still showing the same video footage of a Hak Ja Han coming out of the courthouse, being led or loaded into a van there with by the court staff. The three young ladies are court staff, and come on, girls, you're supposed to put the rear end in first. Then yeah. They don't know how to do this, do they? Okay. You get the rear end, you get the buttocks in first, and it's very easy, but they don't know that. Okay. Anyway, they got her in somehow. And they close the door, and the chunky guy gets in the passenger seat, and they drive off to the Seoul Detention Center, otherwise known as the Seoul Prison. And so we're still waiting. Here I see other videos also on YouTube saying that we're still waiting for the court decision, and it may still be another uh, what is it, 3 hours or more before that happens. And but there's sort of but the media is doing a kind of a concerted effort to demonize, and I would say demonize and dehumanize actually members of the Unification Church and anyone associated with them. And so they're making a big deal of the fact that members of the Unification Church were members of the Conservative Party. Now, what's wrong with that, right? Uh, when I was in Pennsylvania, I registered as a Republican. Right now, I'm registered in Virginia, and in Virginia, you don't declare a party affiliation. But when I was in Pennsylvania, I registered as a Republican, and a lot of us did that. So why should that be illegal? Why should that be illegal? But it seems that the left is sort of trying to play this up as an effort by Hak Ja Han to create a theistic state in Korea, which actually is not far from wrong. If you look at her constitution, it is not far from wrong at all. Uh, and so they are saying that, wow, yeah, Korea really dodged a bullet here, and we need to, completely eradicate this heresy unification church so that we don't have to face this kind of a danger again in the future. But religions tend to grow when they are under persecution. So on the surface, as I think I mentioned before, on the surface, it looks like there will be no uh, successful witnessing in Korea over the next generation or perhaps even two generations. And yet, I have to remind myself that the history of religion shows that um, I may well be wrong, that this may actually be a time when um, Unification Church, or at least Father's teachings, can flourish. And let's be clear about the definition of Unification Church, all right? The term Unification Church, do I have time? I have 2 minutes. Yeah, I can do it in 2 minutes. The term Unification Church did not originate with Father or with the Unification Church. It originated actually with the Korean media. During the time of 1955, when Father was being criticized or attacked because of, well, you can go back and read about that, the Uiwang incident. That's when this term originated by the Korean media. And Father adopted it, of course, and has used it. If you look at his words, he uses that term Tongilgo or Tongilgo many times. And also, even after he told the HSA UWC to lower their signboard, saying that their mission had finished, he continued to use this word, Tongilgo or Unification Church. So I think in that context, you can say that Unification Church refers to people who follow the teachings of Reverend Sung Myung. Okay, so in that definition, Hak Ja Han is not a Unification Church member, nor are any of her Family Federation people. They are not Unification Church members because they are not following the teachings of True Father. So in that context, members of the Sanctuary Church are the true Unification Church members. We are Unification Church. We are Unification Church, and that heresy that Hak Ja Han created is a new religion centered on herself that she created with new religious texts. She, um, denied Father's text and created her own texts. Okay, she has, the freedom to do that. God gives her the freedom of choice to do that, to betray God, to betray Father, and to create a new religion centering on herself. But actions have consequences. And the consequence of her action right now is that tonight she is sitting in the Seoul Detention Center in the city of Uiwang, Uiwang, Korea, the Seoul Detention Center, otherwise known as the Seoul Prison. Okay. All right, that's all I have time for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. And by this time tomorrow, I suspect we will know one way or the other, and probably you will know as well if you are paying attention to the news reports. So anyway, for now, God bless, Godspeed. May His kingdom come quickly.